Hey, what's going on everybody? So today we're going to be talking about the A7 II and the best video settings for this camera. So recently I had a video about the A7 II kind of get a decent amount of attention, and a few of you guys were asking me about which settings I use for this camera. And so since I figure most of you are just learning photography or just getting into it, I wanted to share what settings I used to use when I use this camera as my main camera all the time. So from here, let's just hop right into the settings. So first, let's talk file format. And this is going to be under the second column in your first settings box. And we're gonna change this to XAVCS. Now this is the highest quality that this camera can film because it allows you to film in 1080 at its highest quality. So in order to shoot in XAVCS, you actually need a pretty high resolution memory card. And this just means a memory card that has a fast speed. I made a video about memory cards a few weeks ago. So if you do want to know a little bit more about memory cards and which one probably suits you the best, please go check out that video. But if not, I personally use the SanDisk Extreme Pro 128 gigabyte. It's about a $40 memory card, so it's not too expensive. So next we'll be talking about record settings, and me personally, I shoot in 24p at 50M. And basically what this means, the 24 is your frame rate and the 50 is the resolution. So 24 frames per second, and obviously this camera can do 30 frames per second as well as 60 frames per second. But I personally just use 24. And a common problem that kind of comes up, so if you're not seeing those exact settings, the reason that is because your camera is in PAL mode instead of NSTC mode. NSTC is basically the settings that the camera was sold to you in based on which country you were in. So really either way, NSTC or PAL, it doesn't really matter. But if you want to get the exact same settings that I have, please switch your camera to NSTC mode, and you can just do that in your settings on the toolbox slide, I'm pretty sure. So most of the rest of these settings are pretty much where you want them to be. There's really not that many that you have to change other than those two to really get good quality video. But one thing that has helped me a ton is actually changing your custom keys. And those are the little buttons on top of your camera and on the front of your camera that you can basically customize to be whatever you want them to be. But for now, we're just gonna focus on C1 and C2. And you can find those in the second box under the settings gear on the 6th page, and it's just called custom key settings. So I have my control wheel set to ISO, and then C1 I have set to focus magnifier. So what that does, basically when you're in manual mode, you can tap on C1 and it will zoom in on the image and it will allow you to get as sharp of focus as possible. And then C2 and C1 kind of go hand in hand. So C2 I have set to changing between manual and autofocus. So basically clicking that button just allows me to quickly change from autofocus to manual focus, instead of having to change it on the lens or having to press the FN button and do that manually. So the next thing that I change on this camera is actually picture profile, and it's not something that's extremely necessary, but if you do want to be able to pull as much saturation and contrast out of your image, I highly recommend changing your picture profile. Obviously, this requires you to know how to color grade in post, which I'm actually gonna be making a video on in the next few weeks, but I highly recommend changing your picture profile. And you change this on the camera icon at page 5. So over the period of shooting with this camera, these are kind of the things that I found to work the best and look the best on the A7 II. Obviously, this does not go for the A7 IV, the A7 III, but with the A7 II, this is what I've used that just look really, really good right out of camera. So I'm just gonna run through these really fast. If you guys want me to go into more detail of why I'm kind of doing these things, I will, but basically let's just run through them super quick to just get you guys to have the same settings that I do. So I have my black level at +2. I have my gamma at Cine 4, but personally I've kind of moved to shooting in S-Log with Sony's, but for the A7 II, just to avoid like having to color grade a ton, I would just shoot in Cine 4. My black gamma I have set to wide. My level is set to +4. Knee I have set to just auto. My color mode is set to Pro. My saturation is at +5, but this is another thing that can be changed when just color grading. Detail I have at +4, and that's pretty much what I have for my picture profiles for the A7 II. Again, I don't really want to go over every single setting, but basically what you're doing is you're just kind of balancing things out and making small adjustments to make your footage look just a little bit better and a little more crisp with a little more contrast. And I found it just kind of makes your videos just a little bit easier to edit. But with that, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Those are pretty much all of the settings that I changed on the A7 II. If you guys have any other questions or any other settings you want me to cover that you're kind of struggling to understand or want to learn more about, please let me know down in the comments below. Again, I try and make videos on any comments that get a lot of likes, but I also try and respond to every single comment that you guys leave. I know how it is starting out in photography, and I know where I started and how much easier it would have been if I had someone replying to my comments on YouTube videos. So please leave me some comments. I love answering your guys' questions, and if enough of you have the same question, that's usually where I get my video ideas from. So anyways, that's gonna be it from me. I will see you guys in the next video. Later.